welcome back to the vlog. Glad you are checking in today. Hope your day is going well with you. I wanted to talk today about something that's coming up this weekend for us. This weekend is our fall retreat for our student ministry, and this was a little different in the sense that we don't plan our fall retreat. No, we tag team with a local Christian camp. They host the fall retreat, and we get to go and enjoy the weekend away with our students. And so today I thought about, as I get ready for that, there's some really good positive things that we benefit from when we take advantage of organizations like the one that we're about to go to when they plan things. And I know there are all sorts of stuff across the country, different conferences and events that are put on by organizations that youth groups participate in, and it's always a good thing for them. But today I just want to talk about for fall retreats, or retreats of any shape or form, really. There's a great benefit in the ones that are prepared by someone else that you get to go take your students to and participate. So I'm going to go through a few of those things. So first, number one, where we're going. We are going to a place called Pine Springs Camp. I don't mind sharing that with you. It is a camp that I absolutely love, and that is because I love their heart for students. Their whole premise, their whole what they do is all on this premise that they want to see students have a vital encounter with Jesus Christ. And the one of the ways that they do that is by hosting and leading various retreats and summer camp programs that allow students to come, to get away and experience those vital encounters. And there's a number of great ways to do that. So Pine Springs, I'll put a link to the camp in the description below, and you'll hear me talk about them a lot because we really do love Pine Springs, and we do a lot with Pine Springs. So I mentioned them because if you're going to participate in an event like this, I always think it's a good idea that you know who it is that you are working with. Now, I have a long time relationship with Pine Springs, so much that I was actually on staff with them for a number of summers as one of their summer camp program directors. And so I know that camp, I know the staff, I know their vision and all that. I know it really, really well. And so I am 100% comfortable in knowing that my students are going to get biblical Jesus when we go away this weekend. So as you're thinking about participating in one of these things, make sure you know who it is that you're working with. Make sure they're in line with your doctrinal statements and your beliefs and, you know, the things that your church holds to. Make sure that whoever it is that you're working with, that they're in alignment with those things, because the last thing you want to do is go to a place where your kids are going to hear something that is contrary to what your church is preaching and teaching. Because when you come home, that just opens up a can of worms that you now have to dig through and resolve, and that's never fun for anybody. So number one, know who you're working with and where you're going. We're going to Pine Springs. Dearly love them. Great place to go. Super excited for that. Two, the second benefit I think in this is for costs. When you participate in a program event like this, the costs generally are lower. I'm not going to say always, because it really depends on the camp and the program they're running and what their costs are. But I know that if I were to do my own retreat, I probably would do it for a little higher cost than what they're charging. That's only because we'd have to pay for food service, we'd have to pay for transportation, we'd have to pay for a speaker, maybe a praise team or a worship band. Those would all be costs that I would have to then roll into the cost of what the students are paying per person. And so by participating in the Pine Springs Fall Retreat, I know that that it's a little less expensive for me and for my students because they're already assuming the costs. Plus, they are bringing a larger audience, which I'll talk about in just a second, a larger audience that helps reduce the cost per person. Whereas for me, I know I would not be able to bring the numbers that they will bring. And so a smaller group is going to have a higher price tag because I can't spread it out among my students. That makes sense? I think it does. So affordability, partnering with a camp who's running the program like they are, it makes it very affordable for me and my students. And so I really, really like that. The third thing I think is beneficial for me when I think about participating in these programs is the fact that my students will be introduced to a number of other students from a number of other youth groups from across our area. The camp that we're going to is a denominationally based camp, and so they will see students from other churches, other communities. And what that does for me is it gives them a chance to see a larger picture of the kingdom outside of what they normally see on a Sunday or a Sunday night or a Wednesday night. And so they are exposed to a diversity and a vastness within God's church. And I think that's a really cool thing for them to see. Plus, it gives them a chance to meet other Christians and develop those relationships. And I think this is really good for us as a church to recognize that there are other churches out there and we need to know those churches. The fourth thing I think is a real benefit for us is the programming itself. A lot of work goes into putting together a retreat. You've got scheduling and activity, games, you've got worship and teaching times, you've got coordinating of meals and menus and all those things. It takes a lot of work to plan a retreat. But when you participate with somebody who's handling all of that becomes super, super easy. In fact, for the most part, in most cases, at least the case for us this time, is all I have to do is make sure our kids are properly registered and all the right paperwork's filled out. And when we get to camp, I turn that over, give them a check for my students, and I enjoy the weekend. The rest of the program comes based on what they're doing. They provide the speaker, they provide the worship team, they provide the counselors, they provide all of the programming help. A lot of times, a lot of things that will be maybe extra costs, like high ropes or rock climbing or things like that, that we would have to pay for in addition. All of that comes as part of their programming, which is a great thing for our students. So that's another bonus. All right, the fifth and the final thing for us, I think, when it comes to participating in these things, is the ability for me just to focus on my students. I've run lots of retreats over the years, and there have been plenty of retreats where I have been so wrapped up in what's happening next, making sure that the game is ready, making sure the speaker's ready, making sure the food's ready, whatever it is, that I forget or neglect to be with my students. And so this retreat, because it's being handled by the camp, I get to be with my students. And so I'm looking forward to having the opportunity just to hang out with them, be with them, watch them play games, be a part of that type of the environment, and really use it as a time to connect with my students. The other side of that is I'm taking a bunch of leaders, and now I don't have to ask my leaders to do a bunch of stuff because that's all being taken care of. Instead, I just ask my leaders to be leaders and love on our students and have fun with them. And so I'm really excited about that. Now, there are other things that I could list as benefits for why you may want to plug into a group who's doing their fall retreat, and you can be a part of that. But these are just the top 5 that I have time for today. And just the encouragement to look for camp ministries or organizations, or maybe even denominational. I'll be back here in a couple weeks to talk about our winter retreat that we do with our denomination. Just the benefits that come from working with a larger group or being a part of something where you are partnering with an organization that's providing all of those things for you. So I will put a link to Pine Springs and some of the things that they do. But if you work with an organization or a camp or a denominational group where you plan retreats or participate in activities that are wide-based, I'd love to hear who it is that you work with and maybe some of the things that you benefit from. Why is working with that group a good thing for you and for your students, and what do you see come out of it? I'd love to hear those comments from you guys, so leave those below. As always, I'll have a link back to my blog with some more thoughts on this, but love to hear you guys. What do you think about partnering with organizations and other groups when doing large-scale events. For us, it's this weekend's fall retreat at Pine Springs. What's it for you? I don't know. That's what I wanted to hear. All right, guys, I got to roll. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys taking time to view these quick vlogs. I hope they're helpful for you. I would love to hear from you, so leave a comment below. Give a thumbs up if you found this helpful or at least thought-provoking. And I'll see you next time right here on the vlog. Thanks, guys.